getting married. Yeah. Excuse me. I'm still gonna be Miss B to you guys, but I'm gonna have a new last name.
What is it?
LaRoche. That will be my new last name. Yeah, but we're gonna keep me Miss B. No, definitely not. Thank you. All right. Attention to page 333, please. So, what do you think we're gonna learn about in this chapter, Janelise?
About land and farming and
Probably, but what specific area of the country, Damien?
Midwest.
We're gonna be talking about the Midwest. There's a lot of land and farming in the Midwest. Ronald, don't play with your mask, please. Thank you. Why do you think the region that we're gonna be studying is called the Midwest? Why do you think it has that name? Beautiful?
Because it's not necessarily in the West, but it's like kind of there.
Yeah, so it's kind of the middle of our country, but it's further west away from how we started our country over here in the east. So yes, absolutely. It's located between the far western states and the eastern states, so we call it the Midwest. Go ahead and look at the timeline on the top of page 333. Which was the first Midwestern state to gain statehood? Damien? Ohio. How many Midwestern states gained statehood before 1850? Beautiful.
5,
Keep counting.
6, 7.
7. If you look there, before 1850, you have Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, and then Minnesota being there right at 1850. So what year did North Dakota and South Dakota become states? Hey, Kaylee Hahn.
1889.
Yes, ma'am, 1889. Very good, very good. So go ahead and read page 333 silently first to start. We're going to come back around to it. Go ahead and read the page silently to find out why the Midwest, you're looking for a clue here. Why is the Midwest called America's breadbasket? Read page 333 to find out why the Midwest is called America's breadbasket. And you can speed read too. We're not going to just read. You can kind of speed read it and see if you find, you might even flip over and be like, oh, I see something. You could even flip to say 337. Go as far as that. We got a lot of pages to read today. So that's kind of how we're going to work through this today. Oh, Jordan.
Because of the rich soil and very charming, this area became known as America's Miracle.
There you go. What page did you find that on?
335.
335. Okay, so that's kind of how we're going to work through our chapter today. We're not necessarily going to read a ton of stuff. We are going to go through it. I want to chat with you guys about it, but if y'all look, we start over here on page 332. We see the Midwest, 333. Our chapter goes all the way through 337, or our lesson today. So we want to we don't want to spend so much time reading that we don't get into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about. I know, right? Okay, so listen. Page 333. A lot of times they call these Midwestern states, Ronald, put it down, please. They call these Midwestern states America's heartland. Okay, well, you think about that. It's called America's heartland because it's right in the middle of our country. Okay, it's like the heart of the country. They call it the center, so that's why they say it's the heart of the country. It's out in the center because your heart's kind of centered in your body and it kind of pumps the blood to the rest of you. Well, they call the Midwestern states America's heartland. They're also the center of agriculture. So you can even think of them calling America's heartland what they call it because we wouldn't be very well off if we didn't have agriculture to help us with industry and help feed us. So that's another reason that it's called America's heartland. It's like the heartbeat of America. It's the center of agriculture. Many important crops are grown there. A lot of products come out of the Midwest. The Midwestern states were settled by brave, hardworking people. The courage and endurance, not the encourage. The courage and endurance of the Midwestern farm families gave this part of the country a very special character. So we say that these states represent America's heart. Okay, y'all understand that? Understand what I'm saying? Yes.
Kind of.
Oh, look, if you look down on page 333, I see a bolded word. Okay? What's that word, Ronald? Prairies. Prairies. They're grasslands. Okay? Lots of like real nice grasslands, yes. Yes, like the little house on the prairie. So it's famous for its farms. It's famous for its factories. In addition to these things, the history and culture of the Midwest helped to shape the entire country. So without the Midwest, a lot of the other things that we have going for us across the United States would not actually be happening. They helped shape the entire country. There are 12 states from the Midwest. Before the European settlers arrived, American Indian tribes such as the Sauk, the Fox, and the Dakota lived across the region. Some lived in the forest, others preferred the bolded word, those prairies, those grasslands. What are prairies?
Grasslands.
Yes. And they don't get very much rain. They don't have very many trees. And back in the 1700s, we had the settlers kind of trickle in, and eventually most of the tribes were forced further west. Well, we saw this with our southeastern states, correct? Remember the Indian removal? Thank you. They moved the Indians that were in the southeast, and they moved them
West.
yes.
North.
Well, it's happening again. They're moving them west again.
No.
What are the states in the Midwest often called because of their location in America? Ronald?
I got
Beautiful?
America's
America's Heartland. Everybody say America's Heartland.
America's
Oh, Ronald. What gives this country a special character?
Because it's in the middle of America, it's like America's fire.
It is, but it says the courage and endurance of the Midwestern farm families give this part of the country a special character. Damien?
What represents it?
It does, but what gives it the character? I just read it to you. Beautiful.
The courage and endurance.
The courage and endurance, or as I like to say, the encourage. Because that's how I do. So, plus their farms and their factories, what helped shape the entire country?
Hold on. Wait. No.
Damien?
The thing that helped it shape the whole entire country
Mm-hmm.
is its additional farms and factories.
Yeah, so it's got the farms and factories, and then it's got all this history and culture that just kind of helped shape the entire country. Let's look at page 334. Beautiful. You want to do some reading for me on page 334?
European settlers found the land beyond the Appalachian Mountains appealing. They first moved into the Ohio River Valley. The Midwest has many rivers. The largest are the Mississippi and the Ohio and Missouri. These waterways were the highways for pioneers. During the 1800s, Americans poured into the Midwest between 1803 and 1889. All 12 Midwestern states joined the Union.
Okay, so we see here. Between 1803 and 1889, all 12 Midwestern states had joined the Union. Reading from there, Haley Hahn.
The early settlers came from the East Coast. Southerners came from Kentucky into
Southern.
Ohio, Pennsylvania, moved through the Ohio River, northeast
Tributaries.
tributary.
Oop! A bold word! Woo, woo, woo,
A
woo!
tributary is a river that flows into
A larger one.
a larger. People from New York and other northeastern states also move west. They often travel by the
Erie.
Erie Canal in the Great Lakes into the upper Midwest. Later, many immigrants from the Northeast Europe came to the United States. They often ended up in the southeastern Midwestern states.
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the the bolded word. It's a tributary. A tributary is a river that flows into a larger one. So it's a smaller river that flows into a bigger river. I'm going to rapid ask you guys some questions. You ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. My poor video. Sorry about that. I'll put a warning on it. You guys are crazy. All right, where did the European settlers move first?
Midwest. The Appalachian Mountains of Healing?
Nope. Caleb?
Southeast.
Nope.
The
Oh.
Ohio.
I don't.
Ohio River Valley.
Yes, the Ohio River Valley. So the European settlers first moved to the Ohio River Valley. What are the 3 largest rivers in the Midwest? Damien.
The Mississippi, the Ohio, and the Mississippi.
Very good. Why were waterways important for pioneers? Beautiful.
Because during the 1800s, Americans poured into the Midwest.
Nope. It says the Midwest had many rivers, and it talks about the largest ones, and then after that it tells you why they're important.
It's because what is it? Ports.
Pioneers. No.
Beautiful.
Because between 1803 and 1889.
Nope.
What?
Paleon?
They were highways.
Thank you. Look, it says these waterways were the highways for pioneers. Pioneers weren't taking roads. Pioneers were using the rivers and the tributaries to get where they needed to be, so they were very, very important. Where did the earliest settlers come from? Emma?
East Coast.
Yes, ma'am. Where did the Southerners from Kentucky settle? Haley Hahn?
Ohio.
Southern Ohio. What tributaries did the Pennsylvanians move through? Damien?
Ohio River.
Yeah, Ohio River's northeast tributaries. Which waterways did people from New York use to move west? Beautiful.
The Erie Canal and the Great Lakes.
Yes, very good. And where did the Northern European immigrants end up? Emma?
Northern Midwest.
Yes, Northern Midwest states. Everybody take your hand like this. Pat yourself on the back. That was an excellent lightning round. Very good. All right, so we see some bolded words over here on page 119. Let's look at it.
119.
Sorry, 335.
What?
What? Oh, it's less than 119. I just saw the number. Emma, would you like to read at the top of page 335 for us?
Until 1890, most settlers to the Midwest came as farmers. Because of the rich soil and good climate, this area became known as America's breadbasket. These farmers encouraged improvements that changed America. Better farm equipment allowed bigger farms and more crops. In the western Midwest, a few rivers, windmills, provide the energy to pump water from
Aquifers. And then woo, woo, woo. It's a bolded word. Aquifers. Keep going, Emma.
these rivers
Reserves.
reserves of water lie deep under the rich soil. Because of these improvements, farms have spread to the high plains of the region.
All right, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Bidum-bum. Hassan, why don't you read on for me?
By the late 1800s, most good farmland had been claimed. As a result, many later immigrants settled in the cities. Chicago connected the Great Lakes, shipping to the Mississippi River. Chicago became the largest city in the Midwest and the second largest in the United States. Other cities also
Benefited.
benefited from their locations on rivers and railroad tracks. Wheat and corn from midwestern farms could be sent to other parts of the country. Beef cattle could be
Slaughtered.
and their meat shipped east.
That made beautiful perk up. She was like, what? So, what was the main occupation for most of the settlers until around 1890? What did most of the people do? Damien?
Came as farmers.
Yeah, they came as farmers. And why is the Midwest known as America's breadbasket? Jordan? Yeah, because the rich soil and the good climate became known as America's breadbasket. What helped the farms become bigger and grow more crops? Damien?
Better farm equipment.
Better farming equipment. Can do a better job if you've got better stuff. Why do you think farmers wanted to have bigger farms and grow more crops? It's not in the book. Why do you think? Why do you think that they would want that? Beautiful?
So they could sell more stuff, so they could get more.
Yeah, they're gonna make more money if they have more. If they can sell more stuff, they're gonna make more money. And then if they're making more money, they're able to provide a better life for themselves because they're all brand new to this. When you're settling a colony, it's not like even if you or I moved to a new house, it's still kind of set up for us. If you move to a new colony, you're starting everything by yourself. So the more crops they could grow, the more more money they could make, the better a life they could make for themselves. Let's talk about the picture on page 335. What is that? Janelise.
Wait, page 335?
Mm-hmm.
Windmill.
Yeah, this is a windmill in South Dakota. Why are windmills needed in the western Midwest? Janelise, why?
To grow their crops.
It does help, but there's something special about the western Midwest. I'm pointed to you.
Because windmills provide energy to pump water for aquifers.
And we needed that water because why, Damien?
Because aquifers, these preserve.
Oh,
These preserves of water. Like.
Oh, yes, that is what an aquifer is, but why did they need aquifers out there? They were lacking in something. Beautiful.
Because of these, because farms, so they can have farms to spread the harmful.
Were there as many rivers in the western Midwest?
No.
Class, were there as many?
No.
No, there were not as many rivers in the western Midwest. So it says in the western Midwest are fewer rivers. Windmills, like we've already said, we've had a couple people call this out. Windmills provide the energy to pump water. And then, of course, you told me what aquifers were. Donovan, are you paying attention? I hear a lot of clickety-clackety coming from your seat. Make sure you're paying attention. Get involved, okay? I feel like everybody else has been pretty involved, but I'm not getting a ton from you, okay? All right, so we know what aquifers are. We know what windmills provide. Where did many later immigrants settle since most of the good farmland had been claimed? Beautiful?
They settled in the city.
Mm-hmm. Why were immigrants attracted to these cities? Damien?
Because they connected rivers.
Yeah, and were there lots of jobs there, guys?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there were lots of jobs in the cities. So the more jobs that there were, the more opportunity they had to make money and again, make a better life for themselves. Let's look on to page 336. Ronaldo, would you start out reading at the top of page 336? Janelise, shh.
During the 1900s, the Midwest kept growing and changing. Farmers wanted to improvement in their equipment and crops. Scientists worked with farmers to produce harder crops and better machines. Foreign immigrants and Black Americans moved into the region, manufacturing automobiles, and
farm equipment.
Employed.
Many people in the Midwest produce raw materials and jobs for millions of Americans.
Nope, you're good. They're good. That's the end of your ride there. Damien, you wanna read the next?
Much of the Midwest culture results from
Various.
various groups of people who settled here. Many supported public universities. These centers of learning helped to define the state's culture. The cities provided a place for many cultures to mix.
Very good. So you'll see there the big machine. This is reaping, threshing, and winnowing. This is done in one single process, and that thing is called a combine harvester. So it does the reaping, the threshing, and the winnowing, which is all things that they need to do to these crops. Let's talk about this. What made it easier for farmers to harvest large fields of crops? Ronald?
Equipment.
Yeah, they had an improvement to their equipment. Their equipment was better. They were able to do more stuff. What happened to the Midwest during the 1900s? Damien?
It kept growing and changing.
Yeah, just right out of the book. Elijah, I hope you're paying attention. It kept growing and changing. It was not the same anymore. How did scientists help the farmers? Beautiful?
They worked with the farmers to produce harder crops and better machines.
Very good. So they worked with them. They were able to make better crops, better machines, and they worked together to do this. Why do you think it was important to produce hardier crops? Donovan?
So they could have more food?
Yeah, they could have more food, and also, would they lose as many?
No.
No, especially if they had unfavorable conditions, which you can get out in the Midwest. So they needed the crops to be hardier. They needed them to be able to last a little longer so they could make more food. What is something that employed many people? Damien? Vroom, vroom.
The raw materials.
No, not that.
Beautiful.
Automobiles.
Yeah, so they manufacture automobiles a lot out in the Midwest. That gives a lot of people jobs. Very good, very good. Let's look over to page 337. Haley, read at the top of that for me.
During the 19th, Midwest authors helped shape American progress.
Progressive.
Authors tried to change the nation. They encouraged new attitudes towards
Politics.
business, and
Religion.
One book result in
Cleaner.
cleaner
Meat packing.
plants. Some authors wrote about pineapple.
Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote about growing up in the silver Midwest state. Willie Cathell wrote about life in the
Nebraska Prairies.
Nebraska prairies.
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Fisher was from
Minnesota.
but he cared more about life on the East Coast. However, Fitzgerald Midwest roots influenced his viewpoint. He told stories about the 1920s. His writing shaped how people view that decade even now.
Very good. Kaylee, will you be the last reader?
The Midwest today still has an important influence on the homemaking. The leading manufacturing companies affect the nation's economy. The grain culture in the Midwest also affects America. The Midwest continues to develop people of different backgrounds. Many people of
Middle Eastern origin.
Middle Eastern origin have moved to the Midwest. The region also has a growing
Hispanic population.
Hispanic population. Both groups are growing in the country at large. Since so many Americans live in the Midwest developed and changed the nation and ethnic whole.
Very good, very good. So we had progressive authors that had new attitudes about politics, business, and religion. We had several authors who wrote. We had Laura Ingalls Wilder. We had Willa Cather. We had F. Scott Fitzgerald. All of these were authors that were influenced in their writing by the Midwest. So go ahead and get your workbook out and get page 157. You're going to tear out today's page.